Hey, how's it going, guys? Sean from Team Honey Badger here. Out to bring you guys a deck profile and an update to my Blau Stride deck. This is my Blau Bustard deck, and I think it's perfect and it runs great. And I really like how it runs. There's a lot of things that I still want to work out. Definitely still needs to go for a lot more testing, a lot more test games, and especially since this is area, I'd like to tweak it a little bit more when the cards get released in real life, so I could definitely run it a lot better. And I might even play this deck as a candidate for what I'm playing at Team League. Don't just think it's your Gallier. I could surprise you with some other decks that I'm building too. So without further ado, let me actually get into it. So our starter is Morganrot. He is the Blau starter. You don't want to run anything else. You could try running Run Ball, but the whole build would change just if you switch your starter. And I don't want my build to change like that. So next we are playing 8 critical triggers, 4 Shun Sweater of course, and 4 Red Lightning. Red Lightning is very important because you can put it to the soul to unflip a damage. As you notice, we aren't playing like the Victor crit or any of the other effect stuff because the actual 5k could make a difference, especially in this deck, between hitting and not hitting. 4 draws. You could actually try playing Energy Girl in this spot, which I have tried running, but it was okay, it wasn't that bad. A perfect referee, because this card's actually really good in this deck, but it was okay. I don't like it that much. I still rather stick with the draws, because if your Morganrot dies early, especially if we are facing Kagero, which is becoming more potent, you'd much rather be able to maintain advantage since we don't run Victor. And of course, 4 heals. Trained therapist who doesn't like bunnies. Bunnies are the greatest creatures in the world. Let me just knock this out of the way. We are playing 4 of the Blau Perfect Guards. Of course, because Morganrot searches out all your Blaus, you want to be able to have Blaus to search. I tried running Lady Cyclone if you've seen my past deck profiles, and I still like Lady Cyclone because she frees up space. But I think in the format where a lot of things are hitting for higher numbers than this deck could, all this deck has to make it win is the early game, which I think is incredibly strong. But being able to search for perfect guard is still very, very good. You could also try running this perfect guard since we play 4 Claydol mechanic. Allow yourself to be a little bit more defensive, which I like, and I'll definitely try it a little bit more. I just think this is the build that I'm liking the most. Next we play, you've heard me say it, Claydol Mechanic. Claydol Mechanic is really standard for a Blau deck. Just being able to unflip a damage when it's called to the rear, because this deck eats up a lot of Counterblast. Morganrot uses Counterblast 1, and it doesn't go to the soul. So Morganrot stays on the field so you could abuse it, and by that, you're also going to be eating a lot of Counterblast. So that's why we play Claydol Mechanic. Final Wrench. Final Wrench is very important in this deck because there is a card in the G zone which stands itself and other rear guards. And being able to make use of this skill with Final Wrench could be very devastating to your opponent at times. And then lastly, we're playing 4 Stride Enablers. This deck is a lot more focused on striding rather than the actual limit break of Galaxy Mon or even the skill of Stern. So yeah, that's why we are not playing Beast Deity Frogmaster, because it's incredibly situational for a deck which I've built like this, and I'd much rather have the standing ability of Final Wrench instead. You could also try running Space Pit, but I just think Final Wrench is far superior. Alright, so next for grade 2s. This is my 1 of Tech. A lot of people gave this card a lot of hate. I'm actually going around with my 1 of Techs. I could just play an extra Blau or another one of him and cut a Jupiter, or play Cool Hank. All are really good options. But this is Gross Bear. He's the Blau 12k attacker. I only play him because since this deck has one card which just stands stuff and doesn't give it power, I'd much rather be able to have a 16k column if you put Final Wrench behind it when it stands by itself. So yeah, that's the reason for that. 3 Blau, of course, standard. When it hits a Vanguard unflip, allows you to get a free search off your Morganrot. So yeah, that's that. Next we play 4 Mars. Mars is pretty standard for a Blau deck too. Just being able to restand itself when the Blau Vanguard attack hits, very strong, especially in today's format, where grade 2 rushing has become a lot more important than ever before. And especially since you could abuse it with Victoplasma, because it doesn't say once per turn, you could use it as many times as your Vanguard with Blau hits. And since Tridents take the name of the heart, this card becomes a lot more abusable. And lastly, 3, Jupiter Blau Cougar. Like I said, you want to play a lot. Well, I'm saying it now. You want to play a lot of Blaus. So Jupiter Blau is just another one of them. Even though Gross Bear is not a Blau, I just think having the one of is fine, and it doesn't hurt the deck that much. Alright, on to 3s. So we're playing 4 Mamba Cougar. This is the break ride. Break rides are definitely making a comeback into the format. And I really like Mamba Cougar just being an 11k Blau, because one of the main problems I had with Stern is that if I don't get Blau Cougar, it only makes a 15k column with Morganrot, which isn't where I wanted to be with this deck. Stern's still very good, but I don't know. I don't like him anymore. And of course, Marker, because Marker's okay. You could try him as a one-up. And I don't play Victor in this deck because, like I said, this is a Blau deck. And I think the one-up Victor could be good, but I still much rather have the pure Blau. And of course, lastly, the big boy himself, Galaxy Blau Cougar. Limit break 4. Of course, when your Blau Vanguard or Rearguard attack hits, you can counterblast 2, discard 2. You stand him with the unit boosting him. So yeah, this deck I also find myself break riding a lot too, because Mamba Cougar really helps out in those late game pushes. Like by the time you grind your opponent out with this deck, like after your Victoplasma plays, your favorite card there plays. I'll get into the favorite card in a sec. But after you grind them out and you break ride, your opponent's gonna be at low hand anyway. If you put them to 5 damage, which this deck is supposed to do. Put them at a high damage count early. So, this card becomes a lot more deadlier, especially when combo with this card. And if you use your Morganrot properly, you get, like, by the time you've built advantage, you probably won't even need Morganrot because you would have had most of your Blaus for Galaxy's effect. And like I said, even with Gross Bear, you could just intercept with it and put another Blau in its spot. So, yeah, that's basically it for that. Next, on to the G Zone. So first we play 1 Tribute. The only card this works with, sadly, is Mars Blau Cougar, and for that reason, I only play 1. I only cut it down to 1, and because it's just too good not to play. Like it kills Laurel if they're guarding a lot. Silent Tom, which is my mortal enemy. So yeah, that's mainly the reason him. Next we play 1 Vic-10. Vic-10's great. We're still going on about this card because it's mainly my first stride if I'm facing something else. I don't play Victor in this deck because you burn through your G zone incredibly quickly, but so I still want to have other options if I can't like stride and stuff. And next we play 2 Victoplasma. Victoplasma. I don't know what I'm playing him at 4. I think 2 is just the perfect number because of our next card, which I'm about to show you after I explain this card. So he, of course, is your restanding stride. It's only like a once-off play now with this deck because this deck got a lot more powerful after the release of this card right here. So yeah, it's not really that important to play for. If once we get the G Guardian, if it does take up a space in the G zone, I'm definitely gonna cut out Tribute and play an extra G Guardian because this deck could really use some extra defense because it's so offensive. And lastly, for my new favorite card, Meteokaiser Bustard. So, for those of you who don't know, he's the new card. He's the new generation rare. So I finally get a chance to blink up my deck with some full arts. Sadly, this card, based on the picture, won't get a full art, but I don't see why it won't once we get it here in the States. So, its effect is Counterblast 1. Choose any card from your G-Zone face up. Turn it face up. That's why you're playing the extra strides, so we could just flip them up and have them be Bustard fodder. And then, when this unit attacks, if you pay the cost, if you do, you choose any number of rearguards and send them for each face-up Meteokaiser Bustard in your G-Zone. So that's why we are playing the Gross Bear, and that's why we are playing the Final Wrench. Final Wrench just helps us make the columns, and helps us give power to the rear guards that are stood. Because some of these are hitting for low numbers, especially your grade 2s, and you want to be able to ensure they're hitting when your opponent's like at a high damage count. So yeah, if 2 or more units were stood, and if you have 5 rear guards, which if you're aggressing late game and you use this card, you probably will, it gains the red text ability of Counterblast 1. Choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. At the end of the battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit and it gets drive -2 until end of turn. Okay, drive -2. It's a -1 in card advantage, but this card is so good. Like, it's so good not to run. It's too good not to run. Like, I don't see any flaws with this card for this deck, especially even though the numbers aren't as high and it's probably more abusable in Victor. It's just the early game that this deck has and the power that this card has creates for some massive plays. And you're definitely going to see it in the games that I'm going to upload in the coming days with this deck and how it runs. So Bustard, he just helps me so much. Like, he just gives this deck, because the main gripe I had with Blaus was that they have to hit in order to do stuff. This card doesn't have to hit. And being able to combo with your Blau Hearts makes it abusable with Mars if it hits, and then you restand it, so that's already 1, 2. You could get 6 to 7 attacks off on a Bustard turn, and you could even abuse this card with more Unit, because all your grade 3s in this deck are Blau, so you'll take the Blau Hearts and your Stridians will become Blaus. So anyway, guys, that's my Meteokaiser Bustard deck profile. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry about the lack of videos this past week. I was on spring break and I was a bit busy. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.